kids' books. I have my son signed up for the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, so we get a lot of cool books through that. And lately I've been on a kind of theme of compassion, and Moth got me into this too, of like teaching young kids at an early age compassion. And I've noticed that the books that I've been getting through Dolly Parton Imagination Library have been very compassionate books. A couple titles I can recommend is The Bear and the Pup. It's about how two Alaskan animals basically befriend each other. The pup grows up and then befriends a young polar bear cub. And it's just like, it's a sweet cycle of compassion. But anyways, I'll get off that tangent. This is actually not from Imagination Library. It was something that I just picked up. I forget where I picked this up. But it's actually a Caldecott Medal awarded, and it's one that I never heard of. It's called Always Room for One More, and I love Scottish folk tales, and this happens to be a Scottish folk tale, and I cannot pronounce this lady's name. It's actually a pen name too, so it won't matter too much, but it's by Sorche Nick Leodas, and this is Always Room for One More. Oh, and this has like a little bit of like the Scottish words and stuff, and so I'm going to maybe start talking in a lilt, and I don't mean to, but it just happens. And I don't know Gaelic, or I don't have a Scottish accent. It's just, I don't know, I'm weird. Okay. There was a wee house in the heather, 'twas a bit, a butt, and a ben, and in it there lived altogether Lauchie McLaughlin and his good wife, and his bairns to the number of 10. There's a fire on the hearthstone to warm me, and porridge to spare in the pot, said Lauchie. The weather is stormy, so me and my wife and our 10 bairns will be sharing whatever we've got. That's them in their little house. So he hailed every traveler that passed by his door, said Lauchie McLaughlin, there's room galore, up, come away, and there's room for one more, always room for one more. Sorry, you probably can't see very well. A tinker came first, then a tailor, and a sailor with line and lead, a gallaglass and a fishing lass with a creel of fish on her head, a merry old wife full of banter, 4 peat cutters up from the bog, happy Newry from Ranter, and a shepherd laddie down from the brae with his canny wee shepherd dog. And there's the troop of people, all going into that tiny little house. He held them all in as he stood at the door, said Lauchie McLaughlin, there's room galore, up, come away, and there's room for one more, always room for one more. Yuri's pipe set the rafters a-ringing till the clock danced a reel on the shelf, and they all fell to dancing and singing, and the little dog danced by himself. Up the walls they bulged out and bulged in, then the walls they bulged in and out. There will never be heard such a din then as came from the folks in the wee little house while they frolicked and frolicked about. And that's Yuri from Ranter, wherever Ranter it is. They filled all the house up from door to door, but Lauchie cried out, there's room galore. 'Twould be a tight fit, but there's room for one more. Always room for one more. Then the rafters, they clap it like thunder, and folks in the nearby town stood stock still to listen and wonder when the wee little house with its butt in its bin, and its walls in its roof dinged down. Then the tinker and the tailor and the sailor with line and lead, the gallaglass and the fishing lass with the creel of fish on her head, the old wife full of banter, the 4 peat cutters up from the bog, clapping Yuri the ranter, the shepherd laddie down from the brae with his canny wee shepherd dog, and Lackey McLacken and his good wife and his bairns to the number of 10, they all tumbled out again. And they gawked at the place where the house stood before. Ah, Lackey, there was room galore, but worry and woe, there's no room no more. Never no room, no more. They wailed for a while in the heather, as glum as grumpety grouse. Then they shouted, "Have done with this blether, for Lackey McLacken, his wife and bairns, will raise up a bonny new house. The house that they raised from the old one was double as wide and as high. Should an army come by, could hold one, with Lackey McLacken, his wife and bairns, and whoever else happened by." They're sulking. But here's the new house. Then the whole lot of them stood at the door and merrily shouted, "There's room galore. Now there will always be room for one more. Always room for one more." And I'll go through the definitions of some of the words real quick. So this was handed down orally, and the writer said that her grandfather's grandfather, like down to her father, it was handed down to her orally, this story specifically, never written down till now. And she translated most of it, but some of it she didn't want to translate exactly because it just didn't make sense, and she gave us, thankfully, a glossary. So a bit of a butt and a ben is basically a big room and a little room. Bairns are children. Brae is a grassy hillside. Come away in is really come away in. Gallowglass, a mercenary soldier. Clappet is a loud, explosive noise. Canny is a word of many meanings. In the song, it means clever. Ding down means tumble down. Gulped, stared at, something in a silly fashion. Grumpety grouse, a broody grouse. Blether is foolish talk, and och is the Scottish way of saying oh. So, thank you.